How's it going, everyone? This is Mitchell Mander here, and welcome to another review of the Boruto anime. Today we're going to be covering episode 165, which, well, if I'm being honest, a whole lot of nothing happened in this episode for the most part, but, there were some interesting things, I will say, that were addressed in this episode that the arc definitely needed for the quadruplets, so that was pretty nice. So, anyways, before we get into the review, let me just say, if you like this type of content, be sure to like and subscribe, as I've been covering the car actuation arc since it started, and I will continue to do so as long as it goes on. As we go into the AO arc, that is. Anyways, let's get on to that review. So we start off this episode where last week's episode ends off in which the second eldest quadruplet is confronting Boruto and the others, in which, like the previous two brothers, and we actually get to see how the first brother dies, and we'll get into that in a minute, but just like the other brothers, he also uses a forbidden jutsu. This one is called Hellish Obliteration, in which it creates like a swamp-like area around the victims and basically drags them down like quicksand. Very slowly though. But there's also things that basically are trying to drag you down with the user. And the closer you get to the user, the faster you basically sink into the underworld. It's, yeah, literally this jutsu is called Hellish Obliteration, so it's basically dragging you to the underworld. A pretty neat jutsu, however, it has kind of a fundamental flaw. So if you're like basically far away from the user, you're gonna be fine, because the user is the one that sinks first. However, like I said, the closer you get to the user, the faster you sink. And Boruto tries to get closer to this guy, and he's basically trying to talk no jutsu him and tell him how his plan is crazy, and how, like, the village that, you know, the person that's giving them the mission to get the Hashirama cells is basically telling them to throw your lives away for the mission. And he's telling them that's crazy. And I like the philosophy here. You see Boruto, he's a spoiled kid, he's grown up, a pretty good life. The quadruplets, we get a backstory for them, which is pretty great, in which they're orphans, and they've basically had a pretty hard life. Boruto wouldn't understand, he wouldn't be able to relate, because they were in poverty. They basically were starving kids. And he even tells them repeatedly, like, yeah, you won't understand. You don't understand what it's like when you get that piece of fruit and hits your empty stomach and you're just starving. Like, you wouldn't understand that, and I like that. I like the back and forth between the two. And as the episode progresses, we actually find out that the jutsu user for this jutsu is actually going to be the one that dies first. As long as you keep a distance, you'll be fine. And again, Boruto calls us out for being crazy, because he's basically stalling. He's basically holding them off, and he's going to sink into the afterlife, whereas Boruto and the others will be fine. However, the eldest brother will make it across the border to the land of Hades. And again, Boruto is questioning, why are you throwing your life away for that? And then we get kind of a flashback, and we find out how the first brother died. And we knew that from just like the dialogue that the quadruplets were talking about, that, yeah, the first brother sacrificed himself to get into the castle. And we know why. He used the forbidden jutsu to basically not break the barrier, but basically get the other brothers through the barrier. And it basically caused them to rapidly age, and he passed away. So I thought that was pretty interesting, because like a lot of us are questioning, like, okay, how the heck did they actually get in? How did this guy manage to break them in? And well, it turns out, yeah, we know now is that he used the forbidden jutsu to basically get them through the barrier, and he sacrificed his life in the process. So I thought that was pretty neat. Now, despite Boruto's pleadings, it seems like the quadruplet over here, he's very unwilling to give up, and he just doesn't believe them. He's just like, no, this is for the mission. And that's when Amui shows up and tries to figure out what's going on, and that's when he basically tells everybody that, yeah, my subordinates were killed, and that guy that I was fighting, he's going after the guy with the Hashirama cell, which we have the eldest brother that has the Hashirama cell now. And of course, the quadruplet here kind of just realizes what's going on, and at first doesn't believe them. However, Boruto tells them, yeah, see it with your own eyes, and yeah, he decides to release the jutsu. And despite, not trusting them, he decides to go off after to help his brother out, or find his brother, before Deepa intercepts. And yeah, Deepa is basically on the hunt, and as we can see in the preview for the next episode, yeah, he catches up, and it seems like Team 7 is going to have a pretty hard battle. Curious to see what's going to happen to these quadruplets, whether they're going to be fine, or they're going to be potentially killed off, or one is potentially going to survive at the end. because I know in this episode they mentioned that they talked about a peach tree, and they want to basically bury the earrings that the other brothers had, bury it in the peach tree or something like that, or behind it, something like that. I'm just wondering if maybe that's going to be fulfilled by the end of this episode, or by the end of this arc, excuse me. Not really sure yet, but yeah, that's pretty much where the episode comes to an end, with Boruto and the others basically chasing after the second eldest quadruplet. And then, yep, shenanigans are going to happen in the next episode. So to keep this brief, yeah, the big issue, like, this episode is, with this arc as a whole, is the fact that, the pacing is just not that great. I mean, I appreciate that we got a backstory for these quadruplets. I was hoping maybe they were connected to Kara in some way, shape, or form, but no, it doesn't seem like that's the case. So they're just kind of just trying to do something for their nation. They're seemingly misled into thinking that the Hashirama Cell is going to help the nation, when in fact it's probably going to be detrimental to the nation, especially if they inject it in people. So they're kind of misled there. So yeah, but again, a good portion of the episode is basically Boruto and the others struggling in a swamp. And I like the backstory for the quadruplets, don't get me wrong, but it did get boring at parts, unfortunately. So it kind of just drags the episode down. And again, I really feel like this arc could have been shorter. I feel like we're taking just way too long to get to the end game, or the end goal of this arc. That's just me though, but next week's episode looks like it's going to be hype, just saying. So that's all I got for this episode review. So overall, it was a alright episode. I appreciate the backstory for the quadruplets and how it showed how the first quadruplet died. So I like that, but I felt like the pacing was pretty bad in this episode. And yeah, this arc as a whole has been paced pretty poorly. So I'd say maybe this episode's maybe like a 5 or 6 out of 10, to be honest with you. It's just an okay episode, an alright episode. But I am looking forward to next week's episode, and probably the next couple, because they look like they're going to be great. But anyways, guys out there, what'd you think of this episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Post your thoughts in the comment section down below. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you all later. Stay safe out there, everyone, and have a great day or night wherever you're at. Bye.